Hi, I'm Jordan Garfield, and I want to talk about leadership when it pertains to my life. Seinfeld is a famous comedian, and he talks about a joke where um, the number one fear is public speaking, and the number two fear, ironically, is dying. I think it's very interesting that this is the fear that we as humans choose to be the most afraid of. And in Jerry Seinfeld's eyes, it's better to be the guy in the casket than the guy giving the eulogy. When I first started at George Fox University, my first class with Jim Steele, we were given a presentation, and I was so frightened and decided to come up with some spontaneity. So I was going to do a little model on the whiteboard. So in the middle of my presentation, I decided to turn around and start doing this illustration. And I remember the class couldn't understand me. I wasn't facing them. I wasn't letting them into whatever I was doing. And it dawned on me how unprofessional it was. And I remember that beginning journey as sort of a glimpse into who I was as a leader and who I was trying to become. And I've always thought that being a good leader meant being an amazing public speaker. And during my undergrad, there would be certain individuals who could just go up in front of the class and with their little clicker and just go away. And there wasn't a fear in the world, or at least it didn't appear there was. And I always envied that. I always really wanted that, and I believed that that skill defined a good leader. But what I realized is that it's a simple accolade. And while we all have strengths and weaknesses, I know I have my strengths and my weaknesses. In this class that I took for this transformational leadership class, I've discovered a lot about myself and what it means to be a leader, and that I have something amazing to offer the world. Public speaking has been something that I've always wanted to be good at, and I find myself, while I may be getting better, I realize this is always going to be something that I struggle deeply with. And my professor for my undergrad paved the way for me understanding just how terrifying but accomplished you can be as a professor or someone who speaks in front of people. He was letting us into his life, where in his speaking class, he was giving a presentation, and the professor was videotaping everyone's performance, and everyone was laughing at him. Nobody could understand what he was doing, and he didn't understand because he was so terrified. But the video was capturing his feet, and his feet were moving all over the place. And that is one of the tips that they teach you in presentations and how you carry yourself with specific etiquette. And these are signs of someone who is extremely nervous. So he finally caught on to what it was he was doing, and he ran out of the class. Now this is very common, I think, and I think that an extreme example of how scary it is to be in front of people. And for me, his story is so cornerstone to my life because he is so eloquent and he carries himself so well, and he's such a humble guy and a great leader. And it gives me inspiration that in the future I can be an amazing public speaker, and I have what it takes to accomplish that. The wisest thing that I can take away from school especially at George Fox, is the smartest man in the room is not the smartest man in the room. And that's okay. You do not have to be the smartest man in the room. And my whole life, because of my family, not getting any education, not pushing education, and my whole story, my life story, where I struggled through school, getting good grades, trying to fit in, I've realized how hard it is for me to do well and excel because I did not have the right people around me. And my whole life I've been trying to prove people wrong, and I've been doing it the whole way incorrectly. And I guess this class and this program has humbled me and showed me that I'm okay being who I am and not knowing everything and not having everything put together so perfectly, because no one is. And more so, it has shown me that I can be an amazing leader. I can be an amazing leader without being the smartest man. It's acknowledging group IQ. It's acknowledging everyone's strengths and weaknesses and tying them all together. And I think that is so fantastic. And it also ties in with the Socratic paradox, where he's having an argument with one of his peers. And while he does know quite a bit, he states that I know nothing. And the oracle distinctly states that he's the wisest man because he realizes that it is not about knowing everything. And it also shows something about not having a complex. And I think that he was bringing his peer down to earth. So there's a lot to say about that. I think leadership exists in everyone, but there is a divide between good and bad leadership. I think everyone is a leader in this world. But I think what defines a good leader is knowing when and how to make decisions, good decisions. And that is what people want to follow. A story that sticks out to me is when I was in the military, my chief, after all the people that I had to follow under, second classes, first classes, chiefs, a lot of them just delegated. They didn't care about doing the work. They didn't want to. And I don't think they had the organization at hand. And my chief was such a leader. I remember many times where he would get on his hands and knees with me, scrubbing oil stains off the non-skid, the deck. And this to me is a symbol that it is togetherness. It is having the organizational values and pillars, the Navy in their best interest. And this is what stuck out to me in my time and really what defined a good leader to me. And I hope that in my future I can be that. I think in this world we need to do exactly what you instructed, Chris, and that is to love everyone, to understand what it is to be together with everyone, not having any biases, and to really permeate an organization with who you are, being transparent in the workplace, being an individual of authenticity. And for me, I don't want to hide a thing. I would love to synchronize my personal life and my professional life in a way that is tasteful. And I know this isn't 5 minutes. This is more like 10 minutes. But I feel very passionate about this. And I want you to know that this class has really been a wonderful capstone on this degree, and the definition of leadership and every example that you show meets and exceeds everything I need to hear. And I thank you so much for the opportunity to let me into who you are as a person and as a transformational leader. And I hope that public speaking is something that I can get better at, but also that I can always keep in mind that while it may be a weakness, it does not define me as a leader. It doesn't define me as a good leader. And I want my employees, if I have any in the future, to know that they are special and that they have value. And I thank you for everything. Take care.